Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, OkieGirlBling'n'Things. Today I'm going to do a quick tutorial and show y'all how to make these cute little facial scrubbies. So these are super quick and easy. They literally are 4 rounds and take just a few minutes to make once you get the hang of it. And I love the texture that this is the puff stitch, and I love the texture that it gives them. They're perfect for washing your face and that kind of stuff. And yeah, so they're super easy. But for this pattern, you will just need a cotton yarn. These solid color ones are just, I love this cotton. Any 100% cotton yarn will work. And this multicolored yarn, I'm going to show y'all the label because I know I'll be getting asked. It is Crafter's Secret Cotton in the colorway At the Fairgrounds. So that is the colorway of that. So you'll need a 100% cotton yarn, and then I'm using a 5.5 millimeter or eye hook. This one is one that I actually ordered off Etsy. I'll put the link for this exact hook on Etsy down in my description so you can find that if you're interested, but any 5.5 millimeter eye hook will work. So before we get started, I do want to mention, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do, so you will never miss any more tutorials or patterns. And we will jump right onto this and get started. So to get started, we're going to start by making a magic circle or magic ring, whatever you prefer to call it. So I'm just going to take my yarn like so, poke it under here, and grab it. I do have a separate tutorial that shows you how to make a magic ring if you want to watch that at a slower pace. So once you've made your magic ring or magic circle, we're going to chain 2. And what we're going to do in this circle here, we are going to put 6 puff stitch with a chain stitch in between each puff. So to make a puff stitch, it's going to kind of resemble making double crochet, but it's going to be a little different. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, 3 loops on our hook. But we're not going to yarn over and pull through these. We're going to continue doing that a few more times until we have 9 loops on our hook. So we're going to yarn over, insert, pull up a loop. There's 5 loops. We're going to do it again. There's 7, and once more. That'll be 9. So you do it a total of 4 times. Once you have 9 loops on your hook, you'll simply yarn over and pull through all 9 loops. And at first, this can take a little bit of getting used to, but once you get the hang of it, it's a relatively easy stitch. Like so. And then to finish your puff stitch, you're always going to chain 1 to close it, but that does not count as our chain 1 that goes in between our stitches. So there's our completed puff stitch, and now we're going to make a chain 1 in between. So we're going to repeat that 5 more times. We're going to yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, 3 loops, yarn over, insert, pull up another loop, 5, 7, and that gives us 9. We will yarn over, pull through all 9 loops. And always close your puff stitch with a chain stitch, and then we'll do 1 more chain stitch to count our chain stitch. So there's 2, and we're going to repeat that again for 4 more times until we have a total of 6 puff stitch in our middle area. Close our puff stitch, chain 1. There's 3. Okay, after your final puff stitch, make sure you add that extra chain stitch, and you're going to slip stitch into the very top of your puff stitch. But make sure this is that chain stitch that we closed it. Make sure you do it into the top of your puff stitch, which is not going to be this stitch, it's going to be that stitch. We're just going to slip stitch into that stitch like so. like so, and you should have a total of, we're going to pull this middle tight, and you can go ahead and tie that and weave that in to hold it snug if you want to. So you should have a total of 6 puff stitch and 6 chain 1 spaces, 1 in between every puff stitch. Going on to round 2, we're going to chain 2, and this chain 1 space here in between these puff stitches, we're going to work 2 puff stitch in. We are not going to chain 1 in between them, we're just simply going to work 2 puff stitches in between them. So do our puff stitch like so, and we will close our puff stitch, but we will not chain 1 in between, because that chain stitch right there is counted on the puff stitch as just closing it. That is part of the puff stitch. Not to confuse y'all, but it is counted as a puff stitch. And then we'll just work 1 more puff stitch in this chain 1 space. And close that. And we're simply going to work 2 puff stitch in each chain 1 space all the way around until we reach the very first. So I'm going to do that and work 2 puff stitch in each chain 1 space all the way around. Okay, so now that I have put 2 puff stitch in every chain 1 space around, and I've reached the back of my beginning chain 2, we're simply going to slip stitch into the top of our first puff stitch. So you're going to reach over here at the top of our puff stitch, which is going to be, there's our chain 1, chain 2, so that is our top stitch of our puff stitch. Just making sure you slip stitch into the right stitch is important, or it'll mess up your stitches when you go around it and place single crochet. Okay, so we are now done with our puff stitch rows, and our next 2 rows will be just single crochet. So we will chain 1, and we're going to single crochet in the very same stitch that we slip stitched into, and we're going to single crochet in the next stitch. And the chain stitches that we done on top of the puff stitch will count as a stitch. And then we're going to work 2 single crochet in the next stitch. And we're going to work that all the way around. Single crochet in 2 stitches, 2 single crochet in the next. And the puff stitch in that chain 1, or the chain stitch that we use to close the puff stitch, will count, all those will count as stitches. So I'm going to work that all the way around. I'm going to single crochet in 2 stitches and 2 single crochet in the next. And I'm just going to continue and work it all the way around until I reach the very last stitch. To finish round 3, we're going to simply slip stitch into our very first single crochet of the round, and at the end of round 3 you should have 32 stitches. Okay, so going on to round 4, you could very well quit with round 3 if you wanted to, and it's big enough for your liking, but I'll go ahead and add 1 more round to it. And for round 4, we will simply chain 1. And this time we're going to kind of do it backwards to round 3. We're going to start with putting 2 single crochet in the same stitch that we slip stitched into. And then we're going to single crochet in 3 stitches. And the reason we're doing our 2 double crochet first is it helps make the scrubby be rounder and not have little ridges like a hexagon or something where you can see every little corner. It makes it form a more perfect circle. And I'm just going to repeat that around 2 single crochet in 1 stitch, single crochet in 3 stitches. And you're just going to repeat that all the way around. to finish round 4, you're simply going to slip stitch into the top of that very first single crochet. And at the end of round 4, you should have 40 stitches, and then you can just cut your yarn and weave in your ends, and that is all there is to making these little cute little face scrubbies. I hope y'all have enjoyed this pattern. If you did, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and happy crocheting, guys.